Ladies and gentlemen, today we are live for another edition of NASCAR 06 Total Team Control, and we have a Busch Series race at Talladega coming your way, as it is the Aaron's 312. I should say, in this case, the Talladega 312, because we already raced one race at Talladega on the season. But again, 312 miles, 117 laps around the baddest track in NASCAR. That is, again, Talladega Super Speedway. Hit that like button, subscribe for more daily NASCAR content as we get into tonight's race. Just the 11th race out of 33 on the Busch Series side of things. Of course, we're driving as Kyle Busch. You guys voted for me to drive as Kyle Busch before the season started, based on various polls in the community tab prior to the start of the season. And as for today, it's going to be interesting to see what we can do. Finish in the top 5 the last time we were at Talladega in the first race here earlier this season, which I believe was the second race total on the season. In that said Talladega race, Kyle Busch finished in second place, led 26 laps. Also at Daytona this season, he ended up finishing 7th after leading 28 laps, so he has had good runs on the super speedways this season. I don't usually perform well in super speedways in the Cup or the Truck Series for whatever reason, but in the Busch Series, so far we've been doing a good job. Kyle Busch has been doing a good job all the way around, no matter what track it is. He has finished outside the top 10 only once, and that was actually the most recent race we had last weekend at the California Speedway, where he finished 14th. Every other finish he has had this season outside of the most recent finish, he has finished 8th or better. That puts him with an average finish of 4.2 coming into tonight's event. 7 top 5s, 9 top 10s, 3 wins, 725 laps led in 10 races to start the season. We'll see if that hot streak will continue, as he has a 193-point lead over his teammate Brian Vickers in points. We'll be starting from the tail of the field. No practice, no qualifying for today's race, and this should be a fun one today. It was a wild race at Texas for the Cup Series yesterday on this game. We'll see what Talladega will bring today. Not reading that most recent name I just saw in the chat, but Blum, Matthew Dorda, Bruno, Corey Freight, also welcome into the stream. Green flag is in the air. Shane Meal and Brian Vickers going to be on the front row for this one. And we'll see Kyle Busch charging up from behind. Good launch for Busch, taking it 3 wide into the first turn. A lot of checking up going up on that middle to outside groove. He had to lift a little bit to keep it off the 184 car, as he was already able to pass about 6 cars through turns 1 and 2. But he's kind of stalling out now, as he couldn't stay on the gas because he wanted to keep it off the car in front of him on the inside lane. Three wide and tight towards the back of the pack. Couple cars almost making contact. One almost into the outside wall. Kyle Busch still trying to lead this group right now as he blocks Michael Jourdain Jr. off of turn 4. Brian Vickers leads through the tri-oval. We'll see if he can lead the first lap of the race, and it looks like he will. Vickers does have 1 win this season. Kyle Busch again with 3, giving HMS 4 with their only 2 drivers in the Busch Series. Mark Martin won at the California Speedway, so he's got a little momentum coming into this race. I'm sure he is running it. Busch being at the back right now. Definitely wants to get up there. Trying to lead this second group. Cars behind him aren't giving him enough of a push. Well, they tried to. Kind of pushed Kyle Busch in the middle of turns 3 and 4, and Busch didn't really appreciate that. Got the 5 car a bit loose. And here comes the 10 of Jourdain. Down to the bottom. It's not a good start. I mean, it was good in the sense that Kyle Busch gained about 6 spots on that opening lap, but he couldn't really get going. Now he's going to get shuffled out of line, and he's going backwards. Going to find a spot on the bottom in 40th place. He's going to try to not be the lead car in the draft here. It's to the outside of another car. Ropes the throttle. Trying not to bump draft the car in front of him. Lifting quite a bit in the middle of the corner to try to keep from making contact and bump drafting in the middle of the corner. Down the back straightaway is about the only place you're going to see some major bump drafting, at least from the 5 of Kyle Busch. Even though this group isn't really closely compacted together, Kyle Busch was not able to lead this group up here. Michael Jourdain Jr. in the 10 car is. Wonder how strong of a car he's got. Derek Booth, welcome into the stream. Busch is going to push Jourdain on the back straightaway, giving him some massive shots. These two are starting to break away from everybody else behind them from 39th on back. Vickers has led the first 3 laps, going to try to make it 4 at the start-finish line this time by. Kyle Busch going to pull out a line into the trial, looking to make the pass on Jourdain. He had a good run off turn 4. He clears him, and he has caught the lead pack in front of him. 49.630 that last lap for Kyle Busch. Trying to find a way underneath. Squeeze the 182 into the wall. And that was not according to plan. Should have been a lot more patient. I kept going low, and I was on the apron going into the corner. I had to go up the track to make the corner and ran out of room. And the one car that made contact with Kyle Busch there, I should say that Busch made contact with him, falling pretty far back, just lost the draft. It's the 82. Luckily, Kyle Busch didn't have a crash himself there or cause a crash. We continue to stay green. We only had a few cautions in our Talladega Busch race at the start of the season. It was pretty quiet at the beginning, but then we ended up really seeing a lot of great racing in that final probably 40 to 50 laps. Shane Meal was able to get the victory that day. Still his only win of the season. Drafted the 56 car in the back straightaway. I don't think Kyle Busch's car is quite as strong as what he had in the first race at Dega earlier this season. Massive run. Didn't really want to go to the outside, but he ended up going there. Not quite clear of the car on the bottom, though, so he's going to have to stay up high in turns 1 and 2. He's got to hope when you're this deep in the field, but still hanging on to the lead draft, that the big one doesn't happen in front of you. Wide down to the bottom. There we go. That was a nice slingshot move. Passed about 4 cars this lap. Didn't lift in the middle of the corner. Never really had to. Trying to keep the momentum going. He's going to clear the 86. He can actually stay down on the bottom. He's got a little help in front of him. 49.44 won that last lap for Kyle Busch. And now he's got a lift. A little bit of a stack up there in the middle of the corner. As much as you're on throttle, you really need to tiptoe the throttle running in the pack so you don't run over the cars in front of you. Just going to the outside and then back towards the bottom. GC1424, thanks for tuning in. Ryan Newman stuck towards the back as well. About mid-pack. Hovering in 26th. Brian Vickers has led all 8 laps at the front of the field so far. We're still trying to make his way through the hard way. It does seem like there's a group of about 4 or 5 cars slowly starting to pull the front of the field. Has a run 3 wide to the inside of Newman. Almost seemed as if Newman wanted to block. And Newman actually made contact with the car on his outside off turn 4. He's going to stack that group up a little bit. Luckily, Kyle Busch is close enough to the group ahead of him. He didn't need a push. 49.247 that last lap for Kyle Busch. And some very fast lap times in the draft. Looking for the push. Looks like it's going to be almost 3 wide right in front of Kyle. I thought that was Dale Jr. The 81. He's outside the top 20. This is his playground, but not today. Busch to the outside. Oh, there wasn't a lot of room there. He was there. He definitely ran out of room, but it was also kind of tough to tell. More contact with Earnhardt. Got a bit loose that time. This has not been a good lap. But damage on that left rear corner panel for Kyle Busch. Yeah, I've had a lot of fun with this. I haven't touched NASCAR 22 in a while. I mean, I still plan on continuing that season on the channel, but on the grind with this. That I really want to get these seasons done before the start of next season, too. Especially doing live commentary for the Truck, Xfinity, and Cup races next season. I honestly thought it'd be a bit easier trying to get through the field. I remember Greg Biffle in the Aaron's 499 soaring through the field at Talladega, and he went from the back to the front in less than 10 laps. And Kyle Busch still back at 24th yet. Don't think Kyle Busch's car is exactly as fast as he would have hoped. Not as fast as his teammate Brian Vickers, who is dominating the race right now. Busch trying to make another pass. Glitch from Heat 5, carried the heat on switch. Game crashes after Texas. Oh, on the career mode? Yeah, I remember that happening. It never happened, like, I'm not going to say it never happened, but what I meant to say was that it happened inconsistently. Like, you get to that point of the schedule. I noticed it never did it for me in the Busch series, or in the Xfinity series. In the trucks it did. I thought I remembered it in the Cup. But it wasn't every season I ran, though, in the Cup either. Did it some seasons, and other seasons it didn't. At least for me. I'm sure it's probably different for everybody. Kyle going back to trying to be a little bit more aggressive and bump drafting on the back straightaway, trying to get these cars really get a move on. We're almost halfway through the opening field run of the race, and I don't think he was expected to still be mid-pack. Field's really starting to space out a lot more now as we remain caution-free. Lap car down on the bottom of the racetrack, about to go a lap down. Kyle's got a big run. Pulls it in line right behind the 83 car. Johnson on the outside lane. Johnson goes to the bottom in the middle of the corner, though. Kyle down to try to block the 106 and back in line behind the 112. Now he gets underneath the 112 car. That might be Dale Jr. in the 81 up here. And it is Dale Jr. after that contact with Kyle Busch. He's fallen off the pace and he is now lapped down. Busch having a massive run right now. Turns 3 and 4. Had a chance to move down in front of J.J. Haley, but there isn't any cars all the way down on that yellow line. So he didn't want to. Now he's pulling out. Checking up. Thought the 138 was going to come all the way down there for a second. He did not. Busch is up to 17th, and now there's a big gap before he catches anybody else again. Other than the car that's right in front of him he's going to draft with for a little bit. Of Smith. Wade Solinsky, thanks for tuning in. Michael Turner, also welcome into the stream. So halfway on fuel at this point in the run. Busch all over that back bumper on the back straightaway. Just hoping the bumpers align correctly with these cars on this bumpy of a racetrack. You don't want to hit him too hard either, because that'll knock him loose. Start to pick up those rear tires a little bit. Want to try to avoid that. I mean, Busch has been pretty consistently through all the passes and dropping back. Really, he's been hovering between 4.5 to 5 seconds off the lead almost the entire time. Just to show how fast that 57 car is. Busch lifting a little bit going into turn 3. Had to give the 138 car a little bit of space. Race only 31? That's weird. Oh, you didn't... So race 31 cars like without ears is what you're saying? .220, fastest lap for Kyle Busch in the race today. Clint Boyer just took the race lead away right before the start-finish line, so he will get 5 bonus points for leading his first lap. So the second and third place drivers in the standings, the only 2 to lead. Vickers led the first 19, and Boyer leads lap 20. Busch going to the outside, almost gets squeezed by that 138 car. A little bit of a slingshot move for Kyle Busch from top to bottom, making some passes and now trying to draft behind Bobby Labonte, who won last night's Cup Series race at Texas. Trying to get the Busch win at Talladega today and get his first Busch win of the season. Labonte 11th in the point standings right now in the Cup side, 7th in the Busch Series. 49.189 that last lap. Busch is fastest yet. So back-to-back laps where he's ran his quickest laps of the race. And with that, the lead is cut down to about 3.8 seconds between himself and race leader Clint Boyer. Catching up to about another 5-car group here very quickly now. Busch carrying this run on the back straightaway. He'll bump draft Bobby Labonte about 2/3 to 3/4 of the way down into turn 3. Oh, Labonte checked up. This did Tony Stewart, Shane Meal, Casey Kane, and then I think that's Trigger in the 133. Remember, it was basically Stewart, Busch, and Meal who dominated the first Talladega race, and all of them are outside the top 10 right now. Dale Jr. 2 laps down already, and one of the favorites probably out of contention in the early going. A little bit of a stack up kind of costed Busch. Really, this whole group went from 3.8 seconds off the lead to 4.7 again. Tim Irvin, thanks for watching tonight. Busch is in danger of losing this draft. Doesn't have anybody behind him, which is kind of hurting. I mean, he was right there. I'm actually kind of curious as to how exactly I did lose him. They were lost, so Kyle Busch going to run the top, try to get Bobby Labonte to him a bit quicker. And he'll have to sit behind the 19 of Labonte. They'll pull to the bottom lane now and let the 19 car by on the outside. Going to burp the throttle a little bit going into turn 3 as well. And Labonte's clear. I think lifting might have hurt. Probably shouldn't have done that. Now Busch is going to get freight train. Big block on the 138. Now he's 6 seconds off the lead. Big run going down into turn 1, trying to get a spot back. He's going to have to work with the 19 again as he sits at 15th. Back to the bump drafting. Should hit about a quarter tank of fuel left very soon. Really any lap now. This guy's not going to be able to go quite 40 laps on a full tank. Especially in the Busch Series. Actually a couple laps shorter than what it would be in the Cup side. .148 that last lap, another quickest lap of the race. I think Kyle Busch going to have to try some pit strategy to try to gain some track position as well. There's a good chance going to go right sides only if we make it to green flag pit stops. Is it a PS4 network error? Like, is the actual PS4 network down? I haven't turned my PS4 on since the last time I played NASCAR 22. It's been shut off for, man, I don't even know how long. I don't even know if there's been a patch update. NASCAR 22, there might have been, there might not have been. It's probably been 2.5 weeks or so since I have my PS4 on. Busch has closed in pretty quickly. I mean, he's right back to 4.6 seconds off the lead again since he hooked up behind the 19 of Bobby Labonte. Labonte going to catch his group now as well. A lot of really big name drivers in this group of Kyle Busch, Bobby Labonte, Tony Stewart, Casey Kane. A lot of Cup regulars. Busch stayed a little higher. I wasn't sure if there was going to be another checkup. Dale Jr. 3 laps down. Something not right with his car after contact with Kyle Busch a little earlier. He didn't hit the wall. He just got really loose and been off the pace really ever since. Busch gets by Labonte. Quickly in line behind Tony Stewart. I got we have both the Old Spice cars like running in the same group. Busch lifted just a little bit. That might have costed him. Busch trying to get underneath Tony. Not able to do it. Oh, big push to the 33. He wasn't trying to. Tony Stewart blocked him at the last second going into turn 1. And Kyle gave him a massive shot, and that's going to push him underneath the 133. You can definitely tell he got loose, but he stayed in the gas, and he was able to make his way underneath. And it kind of bogged down the 5 of Kyle Busch because he never lifted there. And now the 133 going to try to throw a block. Kyle Busch down to the bottom. Little contact. He couldn't quite hold his line as well as he wanted to. And that's going to stall these guys out a little bit. But they're also side by side in front of him, which may help. And now the 133 with a bit of a push to the 5 of Kyle Busch into the tri-oval. Stewart clears Casey Kane. He's on the back bumper of Shane Neal in the 32. A run for Kyle Busch, looking low. Kind of clips the apron, going into turn 3. Feathering the throttle there, trying not to get too loose. Rainer Martinez, Ashley Moy, also welcome into the stream. There's a chance to get underneath Casey Kane. Kane's not running all the way on the bottom. Not hooked to it, at least. About 1/8 of a tank of fuel left now for Kyle Busch at this point in the run. Now he gets to the inside of Casey Kane. Side drafts him in the tri-oval. Doesn't have a lot of help in front of him, though. Stewart leads this group. Shane Neal pushing him. Busch trying to clear the 79 of Kane. Hasn't been able to do it yet. Now he's clear. And here's Kyle Busch with a lot of speed. Neal underneath Stewart. Busch going with the 33. Feels Tony might be a bit quicker. Now cuts down to the bottom of Shane Neal. Means Neal's already on the inside anyway. Oh, Neal pulled up to block the 33 of Stewart now. Tony almost clips the 5. He was coming down as the 5 is going up, and Kyle almost got turned. That would have turned him right into Shane Neal. And Busch is in the top 10 for the first time in the race. He doesn't want to be the one leading this group, although we may be getting into pit stops any lap now anyway. Really trying to stretch this fuel run out as far as we can, though, first. And you don't want to lock those tires up coming into the pits either, because it's likely going to be right sides only for Kyle Busch to try to gain some track position. Got one car coming in. Not too many. Few and far between are going to be pitting this time. It's going to be hard for those drivers to try to stay in any sort of draft. These guys are losing time since Kyle Busch pulled into the lead in that group for about a lap and a half. Lost about a half a second. Oh, I'm ready for Thanksgiving. I've had a lot of practice for this year, stuffing food in myself. Down my throat. I came prepared this year. Kyle coming in hot, trying to get all the time he could. That's not gonna work. That was way too late. God bless America. And we locked the tires up too. That is not at all what I had planned. Almost missed the pits. I wasn't trying to do... What I was trying to do was I was going to stay out. And I made the late decision to pit because I didn't know if I was going to make it on fuel. And I didn't want to run out. So I ended up speeding, unfortunately, coming in. Right side tires only, but those left sides are going to be cooked after locking him up. And honestly, with taking right sides only, he comes out right with Shane Meal anyway, which is unfortunate. Busch going to enter the banking a little earlier so he can get by the 32. He's getting up to speed a bit quicker. Can he catch Brian Vickers? One car coming up. Can't tell who that is. I think it's Aaron Crocker in the 6. Busch trying to block for now, at least until they get up to speed. Definitely a lot closer to Brian Vickers than what he was. But I don't know if those left sides are going to hold on all the way to the end of the run either. Aaron Crocker to the outside of Kyle Busch. And if it wasn't for the pit road speeding penalty, I think Kyle Busch would have definitely have cycled into the lead. Going to lose Aaron Crocker. Yeah, it's not my first time speeding on pit road, and it probably won't be my last, unfortunately. He's definitely losing Brian Vickers quite a bit. Tried to hang on to Aaron Crocker in the draft, but Crocker just blew around the outside of Kyle Busch. Busch had no chance to keep up. We are still caution-free at Talladega, cycling through green flag pit stops currently. Aaron Crocker really pulling away from Kyle. Busch should cycle into the top 10. The 2 cars will be able to clear off turn 2 here. I think the 19 of Bobby Labonte will be the first car behind him, and I don't think he's going to catch this next car trying to get up to speed yet in front. So Kyle Busch will be in 10th. Which is, I believe, where he was when he pitted. But interval-wise, compared to Clint Boyer, he was about 4.2 seconds off the lead at one point. Now he's over 6 seconds back, despite taking 2 tires because of that pit road speeding penalty really costing him. I mean, that's 5 seconds of time. He could have been right there in the draft, potentially, with them. He's going to have to let Bobby Labonte in the 19 car go. He's going to quickly try to fall in line behind him. Can he stick with the 19 of Labonte? He was able to draft really well with the 19 car earlier. If he can get enough help from behind, he should be able to stay with the 19. He's got one of the Old Spice cars behind him. I'm not sure if that is Tony Stewart or the 133 car. Was just barely clinging onto the draft of Bobby Labonte, but he's not really pulling closer to him, though, at the same time. He's slowly closing him. It is very close. I think he's got a little bit of help from behind, and that's the difference between keeping up with Labonte and when he lost Aaron Crocker. But everybody has made their first pit stop of the race today, all within the laps of 32 to 36. And we are now really strung apart, more so than ever before in this race. Should have at least 2 more pit stops yet to go. And Kyle Busch back to the bump drafting now as he pushes Bobby Labonte all the way down the back straightaway. Labonte running that middle to upper groove though, and that's not where Kyle Busch wants him to run. Jacob NASCAR, thanks for tuning in. I plan on going to Dega next season, but I'm not sure if I'm going for the spring race or the fall race. I still don't know exactly what all racetracks I'm going to next season. So whatever portion of the schedule I'm going to have more availability to go, that's where I'll go when I'll go to Dega. It's kind of what I've done, because I've been to the fall race twice and the spring race once. I really try to make it an initiative to go there once a year, but Just kind of whatever fits for my current schedule. Life schedule. I kind of fear the spring race a little more because I feel like there's more of a chance it'll get rained out than the fall race. Just at the time of year. So I'd prefer to go to the fall for that reason. That seems like the fall races are usually a little bit more wild. How would you know where to meet? I have never been to Coda, so I have no clue, like, my way around that place. We'll find out. You can always hit me up on Instagram, too. More than likely, I'll end up seeing the message. I like this tag team between Bobby Labonte and Kyle Busch today. They have worked like teammates, basically, but they're not teammates. They are both driving for the same manufacturer, which is Chevrolet, but one is a, I don't even know if that's a JGR 19 car. Who did Bobby Labonte race for in the Busch Series? Who owns this 19 car? Wow, 49.084 that last lap. Quickest of the race. The last 2 laps were the quickest for Kyle Busch. And from 6.8 seconds off the lead now to about 5.7 back. And they're catching a slew of about 5 cars up ahead. That'd be up to 5th. Both the left side tires in the yellow and the tire wear indicator already fairly early in the run. They'll probably be in the red before the end of the run. Kyle locked the tires up big time, trying not to speed. You can see the skid marks going into the pits. I didn't even see that. I wasn't even close. I think I was at like 89 miles an hour when I entered pit road. I wasn't even close. I dove into the pits just way too late. I wanted to stay out an extra lap, but I wasn't sure if I was going to make it because I didn't realize my fuel indicator was that dark of red yet. And once it got to that point, I was like, I was just coming off turn 4 when I recognized it. I don't know how long it was like that for, so that's why I didn't stretch an extra lap. It all happened so fast. I'm surprised I even made it into the pits. Almost missed it. So once I locked the tires up, I couldn't turn the car. Yeah, 6 cars in this group up ahead. And then there would be 2 cars and then 1, which would be the race leader, Clint Boyer, who's just cycled ahead of everybody else. And again, Busch to push Labonte. 4.8 seconds off the lead now, so they've closed in 2 seconds since the 5 is linked back up with the 19 again. They're so close to this next group. It's like Carl Edwards, Matt Kenseth, Aaron Crocker in this group. Not sure who all else is up here as well. I think Brian Vickers is up here as well. Potentially Mark Martin. Oh, I don't see Martin. Never mind. Busch almost lost Labonte in the middle of turns 1 and 2. Now he's got a big run in the 19. Looks low going into turn 3. Labonte really crowds Kyle Busch. Busch has got to clear him. He's hoping he doesn't lose these guys. He's hoping that run was enough to keep up with the cars in front of him. I believe it is, especially if Labonte starts to push Kyle Busch, which it looks like he's at least behind him enough to do so. On 2 and 3 wide racing in this group. Bump drafted John Hamilton going into turn number 1. Wasn't expecting that much of a checkup there, but there was a checkup. Labonte to the inside. Oh, John Hamilton just pulled down towards the bottom. Kyle Busch squeezing the 19 a little bit. Corner entry going into turn 3 and 4. Hamilton back to the top where Busch is at. Busch probably going to have to drop in line behind the 19 before he loses these guys. I need to get a couple cars behind me so I'm not at risk of losing these guys, because there's nobody anywhere close to Kyle Busch out of his rearview mirror. He had Labonte, and then Labonte got back around him. Now he'll get back to the inside of the 19 into turns 1 and 2. Kenny Wallace almost crowds into the 120 of John Hamilton. Eric Crocker has gone from the back of this pack to the front of it. She's trying to lead the way. Back straightaway, a 3-wide move for Kyle Busch under John Hamilton. Kenny Wallace, he's up to 8th. This is as high as Kyle Busch has been in the running order all day long. Took 47 laps. And now the two Roush Fenway teammates are side by side of Edwards and Kenseth off of turn 4. .49.041, fastest lap of the race at last time by. Busch trying to get by Kenseth. He's going to clear him for 7th. To say though, Kyle Busch doing a great job on a little bit older tires of hanging in there. Gets underneath the 60 car. Carl Edwards clears him into the corner. May clear the 57 of Vickers as well, and he does. And now he's in line behind Crocker, and these guys are closing in on the next 2. Clint Boyer's like 3 seconds ahead of second place. And he doesn't have any drafting help. He isn't even with any of the lap cars yet. Although he will get into lap traffic eventually. I would probably assume sometime this run. 48.979 that last lap for Kyle Busch. He was just slowly knocking away at a 48-second lap time, and he got it that last lap. We'll definitely figure something out, though, when the time comes. I don't even have Facebook or Discord. I don't even use Instagram. I mean, I haven't posted anything. I don't post anything regularly there. I just kind of have it, and I only started it because of the YouTube channel. Because prior to YouTubing, I've never had social media at all. Just never really chose to have it. It's the only reason I have a Twitter, and I think I've only ever posted one thing there. Martin Truex Jr. and Mark Martin running second, third. Martin's the second place car, although Crocker, Busch, and even Edwards keeping up with these guys. Maybe not for long. Busch trying to get by the 6 of Aaron Crocker. Side drafting each other. Busch is going to be clear for 4th. And up to Truex in the 8 now. Is he close enough to the 8? Crocker was right behind Kyle Busch, and then she left him in the middle of the corner. Went towards the outside. Now she's back in line on the top as Busch pulls up on the back straightaway. Truex has a massive run in the back of the 9 car. Mark Martin simultaneously as well, and I think that was part of why Busch almost lost the 8, is because he started to hang on in the draft behind the 9. Kyle keeping this run up off of turn 4. Pulls out of line in the trioval. Martin moves down to the bottom. He saw the 5s run. Kyle Busch is up to third, 3 seconds off the lead. Another fastest lap of a 48.959 at lap 51 that last time by. We're almost halfway. And he is slowly, and I mean slowly, working his way through the field. A lot quicker now than maybe any other point in the race so far. Martin got a little loose with that bump draft on the back straightaway. Kyle being extraordinarily aggressive with it. Still got to wonder later in this fuel run how those tires are going to hold up on the 5, because they're in the yellow and they have been for a while in the tire wear indicator. The right sides will probably go to yellow before the end of the run, and I think we'll see red out of the lefts, and I'm hoping they can make it the end of the run. They would have if we didn't lock the tires up, but it wasn't just any ordinary lockup either. It was a massive lockup. Push a little loose off turn 2. Straightens it up though. Aligns the bumpers correct. And now we have a Ford and a Chevy working together. Martin in the Ford trying to go for back-to-back wins in the Busch Series. That'll give him 2 wins at both the Busch and the Cup side. He had some good cars at both the Texas Roval and Oval Cup races. Didn't get the finishes he probably deserved, but led a lot of laps in both races though. And they're closing in, and Kyle Busch is underneath a lap car right now, and that could hold him up a little bit as well. Quickly clears him. I would imagine he's probably going to pull away. If not, though, then he'll have a little extra drafting help that he hasn't had. He may start to keep the 9 and the 5 a little bit further behind. But Busch, again, pushes Mark Martin. It's a 1.9 second lead. And these guys are closing. Now that Kyle Busch is linked with an even faster car as he's getting up through the field, I think that's allowing him to catch these groups, or in this case, the race leader, a lot quicker than what he was earlier in the fuel and tire stint after those green flag pit stops, just because Martin's car is probably a lot faster than Bobby Labonte's. They're going to have to get around this lap car in an organized fashion, though. Hopefully they can stay together. I don't think Boyer's going to catch another lap car before Martin and Busch can catch him. Again, unless the lap car ends up splitting these guys up a little bit. Again, Busch pushing the 9. 1.4 seconds off the lead in turns 3 and 4. Martin's probably going to get a big run in the draft behind the 82 as well. Just hoping that he's going to give these guys enough room. Martin down to the bottom in the trioval. Where Kyle Busch wants him to go. They're easily going to get by the 82. No worries there whatsoever. Kyle Busch massively pushing Mark Martin again. Pretty late down the straightaway with the bump draft that time. It has been such a long time coming, though. .8 of a second is the difference. Kyle not going to bump draft him this time. Doesn't want to give him too big of a push because he doesn't want the 9 to link up with the 2 and just start to pull away from him, which could happen with him on much older left side tires. Again, those left sides are the same tires he had at the start of the race, and they've been through a little bit of abuse. These are potentially the two fastest cars of the field ahead of him. Martin and Busch around the bottom. Bowyer kind of ran the outside through the tri-oval and runs the middle lane now through turns 1 and 2. Martin may slip underneath the two of Bowyer. Kyle Busch has a run. Now he'll bump draft Mark Martin. May try to push him into the lead. Side by side for the race lead between the 2 and the 9. Mark Martin tried to take his first lead of the race. Bowyer down to block. Busch to the inside of the 9 of Martin. Got to be careful not to lose the draft at all cost. Trying to get by Mark. Needs to split these two up. No help behind Busch. 4th place is quite a ways back. Feel the car getting really loose in the middle of the corner too. Another run for Kyle Busch. Underneath Martin. Martin tried to block, couldn't do it. Busch clipped the apron a little bit, didn't go all the way up. Clears Mark Martin, and he's up to 2nd. Busch with a massive run in the tri-oval, pulling low, going for the lead. At the start-finish line this time by, he will not lead his first lap of the race. It's still Bowyer. Martin gets by Busch. Busch trying it again. Big run on the back straightaway. Has not lost the 9 and the 2. Martin again looking to the inside of Bowyer with a run. Side by side for the race lead off of turn 4. Kyle Busch with a run. 3 wide for the lead into the tri-oval. And Busch trying to lead. He does. There's still 3 wide. Busch has cleared them both. He blocks Martin on the outside. First lap led of the race for Kyle Busch. It took 60 laps to go from last to first. Trying to figure out what lane to block as he gets loose off of turn 2. Handling really going away with those left side tires getting old. Bowyer back to the lead, but at least Busch has gotten his bonus points. Martin trying to push the 5. 5 trying to stay with the 2. Good chance he's going to go with another 2-tire stop. It'd be left sides only, though, this next time. So you would think it's going to cycle him out into the lead. He's going to let Mark Martin go. Drops in line behind him. Maybe at risk of losing Martin. Nope, not quite. I think he'll stay with him on the back straightaway. He will. Mark DeMars, thanks for tuning in. Yep. We're fighting through this season together, JC. We're toughing it out. It's hard to watch at times. Oh, man. Yeah, this is... Okay, luckily Bowyer went down to the bottom. That kind of helped Kyle Busch. If Bowyer stayed on the outside with the 9 of Mark Martin, I think there was going to be a great opportunity there. I thought there was going to be a great opportunity that they were going to pull away from Kyle Busch. I'm quite surprised at Busch's left side tires, despite how old they are. He's still hanging in here with the top 2. And he was able to lead a lap a few laps ago. It was just the one, though. Now they're lining up in the middle of the corner again. Off the exit. Martin not all the way up near the wall. A lot closer than to a Boyer. Here's the run, though, for Kyle Busch. Got a freight train coming through. Side drafting Boyer as he goes into turns 3 and 4. He's got a little help from Mark Martin from behind. Martin tried to take it 3 wide. Couldn't quite do it. Busch back to the lead again. Maybe not at the start-finish line. Kyle Busch leads that lap by inches. Martin tried to side draft him, and now he's down to block the 2. Boyer about halfway on the apron in turns 1 and 2 to get by the 5. Mark Martin still has not led a lap yet. Trying to lead this time by. Busch not too worried if he loses these guys because he knows green flag pit stops are coming up in a matter of really any lap at this point for himself. He'll be coming in for the second time. And Kyle Busch has lost Mark Martin and Clip Boyer finally off of turn 4. It'll be left side tires only for Busch. Got to make sure not to lock him up this time. And he doesn't have to wait long. Some of these other cars have started to catch those top 3 when they were battling for the lead. Got Crocker, Kenseth, and Edwards all within 1.5 seconds of the lead now. Biffle will wait it out on the outside. He'll stay out of the pits this time, and then Kyle Busch will pit at lap 67 the following time by. And it looked like Eric Crocker pulled into the pits from this group. So she's in. A few others further back will be on their way in as well. And Busch will pit this time by. All 4 tires in the yellow and the tire wear indicator. It's going to be another 2-tire stop. Kenseth almost in the wall. Off the exit of the corner. Biffle down to the bottom. Led, and now he's back to 5th. Coming into his green flag pit stop. The second one. Almost contact between the 60 and the 17 in the middle of turns 3 and 4. Kenseth kind of crowded the 60 a bit. Busch coming in. Try not to lock the tires this time. He does not. Maybe a little bit, but it wasn't terrible. And it'll be left sides only. Left sides only for Kyle Busch. And no adjustments. I almost went right sides again. That would have been bad. It was right sides the first time, left sides the second. I'm not going to lie. My thumb's starting to hurt. Going green this whole time. I haven't had a chance to relax yet. Are we going to have a caution-free Talladega race? Mark Martin coming out with the 5 of Kyle Busch. Busch trying to get up to speed. And he is going to get up to speed a little bit quicker than Mark Martin. He'll overtake him. He was 2 seconds behind him. That 2-tire stop fast enough to get out ahead of the 9. And he's going to have a little bit of help, it appears, as he tries to get up to speed at Talladega. Carl Edwards leads the race. Good news is if a caution came out in the middle of green flag stops this time, Kyle Busch would still be on the lead lap. But now his right sides are old rather than the left sides this time. Gonna let Dale Jr. go and try to draft with him. Junior down on the bottom. Slides up right in front of Kyle Busch. There's Boyer, stuck behind a lapper coming out of the pits. Caution is out for the first time today. It took over half the race, but the caution flag is out at Talladega. And looks like debris. So I'm not sure where the 133 got all that damage. But he got damaged somewhere. He was in the top 10 earlier. So debris bringing out our first caution. Interesting. And there's actually a lot of damage on the back of the 56. I would not be surprised if they all made contact with each other. So, oh man, this is tough. I'm going to pit again. I'm going to take 4 tires this time. Because I want to be able to actually lead some laps. I don't know how far back this is going to put Kyle Busch. I'd have to imagine there's quite a few cars a lap down. This is going to cycle Busch back in traffic a little bit, but he's going to top off while he's here as well. But it's going to be a 4-tire stop. I could have just changed right sides. I don't know why I went with all that. I'm so stupid. Why did I do that? I could have just changed the right sides. It would have made a faster stop. No, I go 4. That's going to lose me time. God bless America. I'm so stupid. I just lost like 5 spots on pit road. I didn't need to do that. I didn't need to do that. Oh, we'll see where Busch is going to be. He's not too far back in the field. He's in 11th. Probably could have been in like 4th or 5th. A lot of lap cars in the way though as well. With 4 fresh tires for the first time since the start of the race for Kyle Busch as the green flag's back in the air. He's just going right up the middle on the restart. Oh, a little contact. Didn't realize there was a car underneath him. Big time block. That actually shot the 5 car forward. Got hit pretty square. I didn't even see the car underneath me. Where were you, spotter? 3 wide for the lead. Turns 3 and 4 at the front of the field. Busch got 1 spot initially on the restart. Goes from 11th to 10th. Matt Kenseth leads for the first time today at Talladega. I thought that was the right play, because if I didn't pit, I think Boyer would have been just in front of me. We would have been in 2nd rather than 11th, but now I have 4 fresh tires instead of just fresh lefts. The problem is we got to make sure those leaders don't pull away again. All the lap cars kind of holding everybody up right now, really outside of the top couple. Busch had the big run. Crowded just a little bit as he's trying to make some moves. Time for tonight's trivia question on the channel, and the question will be this. Who is the last NASCAR driver to sweep both the Xfinity and Cup Series race at Talladega on the same weekend? That is today's trivia question. Who is the last driver to sweep both the Xfinity and the Cup Series race at Talladega in the same weekend? Busch not quite close enough to keep up with the group of cars in front of him. He's going to have to let the 86 go again. He's 2.3 seconds off the race lead right now. And the 5 car's just not quite quick. He's not as quick as what he was in the earlier Dega race this season. It is Dale Jr., and the year was 2003. I figured Jr. was going to get guessed a lot. It's kind of an easy trivia question, I guess, but yeah, 2003 is the last time an Xfinity driver, or I should say a driver had won the Xfinity and the Cup race at Talladega the same weekend. It may never be done again. Who knows? Not too many Cup guys run the Xfinity races at Talladega anymore. Bill Jackson, thanks for tuning in. Keselowski is a good guess. He won it in the same year, but he didn't win the same weekend, though. Didn't sweep the weekend. Running the tri-oval for Kyle Busch. Making a pass, barely clearing the 86. 48.799 that last lap for Busch, his fastest lap of the race. He's got to move up onto the outside. He's too far behind Labonte again on the bottom. He'd like to work with Bobby Labonte. Labonte and Busch worked well together earlier in the race. Again, our only caution was for debris off the 133 car. Which is interesting because we haven't actually seen a crash in today's race. Contact getting into turn 3 between 135 and the 5. Labonte in the wall off turn 4. Kyle Busch was side drafting him, and Labonte ended up kind of trying to veer away from it, and he veered into the wall. 3 wide in this pack, just in front of Shane Meal and Kyle Busch. Meal trying to go for 2 Talladega wins in one season in the Xfinity, well, I guess the Busch Series in this case. And Meal's in the wall now. I was trying to stay behind him. That didn't work. Shane Meal scrapes the wall. Busch lifting on the back straightaway. Wants Bobby Labonte to get in front of him. Slow car down in the apron in turns 3 and 4. 3 wide. Just up ahead. Almost contact, too. This car just does not draft very well. Even on 4 tires, I thought I was going to be able to get through these guys a lot quicker. Kind of similar to the start of the race. That really isn't the case. I'm definitely not doing that again. I mean, we're getting down to the wire here at this point. We're down to just 38 laps to go already. We haven't had any caution, so it hasn't really slowed the race pace down. This thing's clicking away fast. Earl Arnold Jr. also welcome. He's trying to stay with Labonte. He's got a little help. He's going to have a little more help now. J.J. Yaley in the mix. 86 moves down right in front of Yaley. A lot of momentum, though, at the end of the front stretch for Kyle Busch. And down into turns 1 and 2 he goes. Got to clip the apron, stayed in the gas, though. Hangs on to it. This is the back of the 86. Definitely stalled his momentum out, but Yaley right behind him keeps at least some momentum there for Busch. And by the exit of the corner, he's going to get by the 86 on the back straightaway for 9th place. Sits behind Bobby Labonte in the 19. There are a lot of cars just down on the bottom of the track right now. Busch back to 3.3 seconds off the lead again. I don't know how Matt Kenseth got to the lead on the restart on Clint Boyer, but he did get to the lead. He's doing pretty well for himself right now. Busch accidentally pulling out of line. Had momentum and Labonte went high. Busch didn't want to run into the back of him in the middle of the corner, but he also wanted to stay in the gas, so he went to the bottom. Yeah, Yaley's been in NASCAR for a while. And this is 2005. He was in the Busch Series. Rookie season in the Cup Series was in 06. He's still racing in NASCAR. Oh, okay. Well, we've got some pit stops going on. That was not what Kyle Busch wanted, was Bobby Labonte to pit there. He was drafting with him, but luckily he's just close enough behind Tony Stewart and John Hamilton. And he's also extremely lucky that these two are side by side, because otherwise he might not have been able to keep up with them. But he is. He's going to get underneath John Hamilton in the middle of 1 and 2 with Stewart down to the bottom. So again, the pit window is open to make it on fuel to the end of the race now. Busch on the bottom lane, but he doesn't have any help. A pole in line right behind John Hamilton as he couldn't clear him before running behind Stewart. And Tony Stewart got a pit now as well. I'm tempted to go gas. Oh, we got trouble. We got major trouble. There's smoke on the bottom of the racetrack. Right around the start-finish line. I didn't see anybody there, but... probably one of those cars down on the apron clobbering somebody coming out of the pits. We had a debris caution in the middle of green flag pit stops the last time. We'll see if we get another yellow here. JJ's 46. That's believable. I mean, he was in the dirt racing scene for a little bit before he tried to work his way into NASCAR. So that makes sense that he would have been in his mid-20s when he was first getting into the sport. And Boyer, by the way, back in the lead. I don't know if that's because he had caught and passed Kenseth, or if Kenseth may have just lost the lead because of pitting. Kyle Busch with the bump trap. The 120 of John Hamilton on the back straightaway. Hamilton still running the top lane, though, and Kyle Busch doesn't want him to. They're 3.5 seconds behind Boyer. There's a lot of skid marks off of turn 4 towards the entrance of pit road as well. Not sure what that's from. I didn't notice until now. I don't know how long they've been there for. He's just trying to get John Hamilton down there. He's not going, though. Busch has to make sure he doesn't lose him. And the only good news with taking 4 tires under that last pit stop, though, for Kyle Busch, yes, it put him back in traffic, and now he's in this situation somewhat again, as he was earlier, but he can go fuel only. It'll be interesting to see where he'll cycle. Kenseth back in the lead, so he did not pit yet. Busch could go a little bit further on fuel than everybody else. We had some cars short pit, but Kyle Busch isn't even halfway on fuel yet at this point in the run. We have not taken a field pass in this race today. We're coming down to 30 laps to go. I don't know if I really want to or not. Kind of scared to at this point. So we're kind of hanging on for dear life, so we might just do some extra ones in our next set of Busch races. So we got a car blowing up. And there's a car stuck behind him. Ryan Newman blew an engine. There was a car right behind. And John Hamilton and Kyle Busch are closing on a group of cars going 2 and 3 wide in the trioval. That might be a saving grace because the leaders are there. All the leaders got held up, I think, by Ryan Newman blowing an engine on the bottom of the racetrack. Kyle Busch has to abandon John Hamilton now. Hamilton just kept running the outside lane. A lot of 2 and 3 wide racing going on up here. Is Kyle Busch close enough to stay in the draft with these cars? Hamilton might give him a little bit of a push here. Really close. Don't think they're close enough. Busch going to go to the outside in turns 1 and 2. He's going to let Hamilton go. It is a hectic battle up there at the front of the field. Busch just hoping and praying he can stay with John Hamilton. And hoping he runs the bottom of the racetrack. They're so close. No, he's running the top again. Jeez. It's kind of frustrating, honestly. They're so close to this lead pack. But John Hamilton does not want to run the bottom lane. Busch does. Hamilton doesn't. Luckily, I have the grip at least to run up here. I didn't when I only had those 2 tires, but on 4, I have the grip to run the top. It's just not the fastest way with only 2 cars. The top has worked at times with more cars. Busch is going to push John Hamilton on the back straightaway. He is desperately trying to get John Hamilton as close to this pack as possible before Busch pulls out of line again, as he wasn't quite close enough the last time. He's going to try to bump draft him on the back straightaway again. Still running 49.1s up on the outside. Just imagine how fast it would be on the bottom. Good grief. These guys are starting to string apart a little bit. They are not 3 wide anymore. They are side by side in some cases. They are definitely not 3 wide anymore. And Busch isn't even going to try to push John Hamilton. He's going for it again. He's a little bit closer this time. And he is close enough. So he has abandoned John Hamilton. He has caught the 21 of Brandon Miller. Yaley going to go down to the bottom. Maybe going to try to take it 3 wide under Eric Crocker and Tony Stewart. He does take it 3 wide. A little contact there between Busch and Miller. Oh, we had some of the leaders check up. Some of them checked up from that 84 car down to the bottom. Busch stays on the gas. Side drafts the 2 of Clint Boyer. Leaned on him a little bit too. Oh, the leader's getting held up again. Here comes the 138 car to the outside with Kyle Busch. Oh, and there's contact as Kenton trying to move up in front of the 5, and the 5 of Busch was already there. They get massively stacked up off turn 4. It's a 2-car breakaway, and Busch is going for the lead now all of a sudden into turn 1. What a turn of events. Busch to the lead. Are we going to win on a super speedway? Oh my goodness. What happened back there? Now we're going to take a field pass. I think now is going to be a great time to do it. We only need to run a couple laps with Brian Vickers. I think the 5 can have some single car speed when I'm not controlling him, hopefully. It's what we're going to hope for. To Vickers we go. I don't even know where he's at right now. He's in 23rd. A lap down. So Vickers fell lap down during the only caution that came out in this race. It was in the middle of green flag stops earlier. Kenton tried to block, but we were going way too fast. He had no chance of doing it. All he did was stack up everybody else behind him. You know what? Vickers might be a lap down because he already pitted, though, also. So he could be a lap down because he had already pit. No, that's not the case because he's halfway on field. Never mind. We have another car blowing an engine on the bottom of the racetrack right now. It looks like the 120 of John Hamilton, who was up there battling for the lead, was actually in 5th place, is now blowing an engine. His chances of winning the Aaron's 312 at Talladega are done. Keep saying the Aaron's. We had the Aaron's already. We have to rename it. It's Talladega. The Talladega 312. Kyle Busch still sticking to the lead there. At the front, he's doing what he can. The minute he loses it, if he does, we have to transfer back so we don't lose the draft of the lead pack. So I'm keeping a very close eye on it. Got a slow car in the middle of turns 3 and 4 right now. Looks like they're more towards the exit of turn 4. I think they'll be alright. Busch still in the lead, so that's good. I think they got to the front stretch just in time, that they were well enough out of the way. Oh, we got trouble. We got a couple cars getting together down on the bottom of the racetrack. I think they were trying to evade the car blowing an engine. I don't know if that was still John Hamilton or if that was somebody else. Who knows? We stay green, though. I am shocked that we have had one caution, and I know it's a shorter race, though, too. We're down to just 22 laps to go. And still at one caution at Talladega Super Speedway. And it was for debris. We haven't even had a crash. There have been no crashes today. We are shaping up for a wild finish, as usual, at this racetrack. We'll have 2 more laps of Vickers. Then we'll go back to Kyle Busch. I'm just getting both the field passes out of the way right now at once because we haven't done it. We're still holding on strong at the front of the field. And I guess with Vickers being a lap down, there's actually only 20 laps to go at this point. Vickers would have passed Hamilton for position, who blew an engine. Just passed another car for position as well. Michael Jourdain is not on the same lap as Vickers. Vickers second in points. Another spot, that's 18th. Vickers needs all the points he can to try to keep up with Bowyer and Busch, who are first and third in the standings, and both of them leading laps today. But Busch only led 2 laps up until taking the lead this time after that huge stack up from one of the lap cars blowing an engine a little bit ago. So final lap with Vickers. We'll go back to Kyle Busch at the start-finish line this time by. Vickers going to push the 119 on the backstretch into turn 3. Vickers down to the bottom. All 3 of those cars he just passed that lap are all a lap ahead of him. Either a lap ahead of him or an extra lap down. So to Kyle Busch we go for the rest of the race. We're down to 18 laps to go. He continues to lead at Talladega. But he's got 2 cars closing in from behind. He's got the 138, a fantasy driver, trying to pull off a major upset at Talladega, get his first career win, and also the first fantasy driver to win a race this season. And then Carl Edwards, Cup Series regular, rookie in the Cup Series alongside Kyle Busch, and in fact Cup Series points leader. Pulling off some bushwhacking today and trying to get the win at Talladega. It'll be his first Busch win of the season. Make it back-to-back for Roush Fenway after Martin won at Auto Club in the last race. 17 to go. Busch does not want to give this lead up again at this point. Feels he has the grip. Everybody's going to have to pit one. We still don't know if these guys are going to cycle ahead of everybody that already pit. They've been stacked up quite a bit, and I don't know how many of the lead lap cars may have been stacked up, so that could be an interesting dilemma here. That even though these guys are battling for the lead now, they might not even cycle into the lead, but they have to act as if they will. Good chance Kyle Busch is going to go gas and go only when he pits. 138 to the lead off of turn 4 on the outside. He had a push from Clint Boyer in the 2. Mark Martin closing in behind his teammate Carl Edwards in the 60. And we're down to 16 to go in the Talladega 312. I've never been so excited in my life that we actually have a shot to win on a super speedway. I never get to this point on the super speedways in this game with even a shot to win. But here we go. And Busch has another run at it on the back straightaway. A little bit of a push for Carl Edwards. Did he pull out too early? No, he did not. He's clear in the middle of 3 and 4. Back and forth go the 138 and the 5. Edwards with a run now on the outside. He almost gets blocked by the 138. Thought better of it. Busch now to stay up with the 60. One of those cars just pulled out of line into the pits. I couldn't tell who it was. And the 138, another push from Clint Boyer to get to the lead. Boyer won 2 races ago at the Levi Strauss Signature Speedway, and with a win, he would tie Kyle Busch for the most this season with 3 apiece. Edwards now down low with the 2. Edwards going to potentially take it 3 wide. Back straightaway, Busch with a run again. A little bit of a shot from Matt Kenseth in the 17. Big run for Kyle Busch. He clears the 2 of Boyer, gets back to the inside of the 138. And side by side for the lead with Boyer pushing the 5 of Kyle Busch. Off of turn 4. Tried to go up and side draft. Now he's down to block the 2 again. Back up in line with the 138, and Boyer follows on the outside as he blocks the 60 of Carl Edwards. Still don't want a short pit, too, in case we get a caution. I just have a weird feeling that we're not going to end this race with just 1 yellow. Especially now that we have these guys aggressively battling for the race lead as well. Busch again to the inside on the 138. Some side drafting on the back straightaway. And again into turn 3. Kyle Busch going to be clear. Moves up to block. Still clear. Down to the bottom. Still clear. And back to the top again. Kenseth will pit from the lead pack. A lot of cars on pit road right now that the leaders are going to be lapping this time. Oh, Boyer almost got squeezed by the 138 on the outside. He about ran out of room. Cars coming out of the pits, down to the bottom of the racetrack. They're slowing up. Edwards and the 138 got slowed up, and now it's Boyer and Busch breakaway. On the outside, and now down to the bottom on the back straightaway. 13 laps to go in the Talladega 312. Pretty easy 3-stop race today. I should say 4 stops. 4-stop race for Kyle Busch because he pit that extra time earlier. Still got 2 sets of tires left because he took 2 tires during 2 separate stops earlier. But he doesn't plan on taking any tires on this next stop. And can't speed like he did under green flag stops earlier in the day. He's had 2 green flag stops. Once he sped, once he did not. Kyle Busch will pit this time by. He won't risk it another lap on fuel. We'll be coming to 11 laps to go at the line as he leads Clint Boyer on the back straightaway. A lot easier just to block the 1 car. Boyer doesn't have enough of a run because he doesn't have any help from behind. And the moment of truth for Kyle Busch is going to be here. Can it be a clean stop? Can he not speed? And will he cycle back to the lead? And will Boyer pit with him? Boyer is going to pit with him. Kyle Busch is coming in. He doesn't want to lock the tires up because he is going to be taking fuel only. And how about Clint Boyer beating Kyle Busch into the pits? 1 can of fuel is all Kyle Busch is going to take here for the splash and go. A half a tank of gas is all he needs to make it to the end. That'll be more than enough. They're going to get the fuel can lodged. No problem. Quick stop. 8.3, and he is off. And now he has to get up to speed. With 11 to go, he is scored in 4th. Edwards is the 5th rather. Edwards is the leader. And Brian Vickers is on his way into the pits now. Kyle Busch trying to get up to speed. He'll be plenty good on fuel. There are cars coming at full speed as they enter into turns 3 and 4. I should say as Busch enters into 3 and 4. There's nobody really around him. From last to first to Talladega, he hasn't led many laps until the late going, but he is leading now. There's one car closing in that is likely already pitted. Edwards still on the racetrack right now. Will any spots be gained for Kyle Busch? That was Vickers. He's going to go up to try to block. That's Kenny Wallace in the 22 car. Kenny Wallace in the 22 has caught Kyle Busch. Busch blocking. He's not sure if he's a lap car or a lead lap car. Doesn't want to find out either. Edwards is in right now. The rest of the leaders are in. So the top 4 on pit road right as we speak. I think with that fuel only stop, Kyle Busch should cycle out ahead. We are not sure if Kenny Wallace is for position or not. If he is, can Kenny Wallace get his first win of the season? 9 laps to go at the line. There's Edwards in the 60s, the only one for Busch to have to pass. Kenny checks up just a little bit out of a safety precaution with Edwards on the bottom of the track. Could be backing up to try to get a run on the back straightaway as well. And he's got a run. Again, Busch did not pit for tires, but he didn't lock them up this time either. It was a great pit road entry. Probably his best of the race. Of the 3 he's had to make under green flag conditions. If a caution comes out with 5 or less laps to go, it could end the race as well. And there are some other cars in the field that are starting to close in on Kenny Wallace and Kyle Busch. Some of which that I will know for a fact when they get there. If they are on the lead lap. We don't know about Kenny Wallace. He might have been one of the cars that pitted as soon as the window opened. That could be why he has cycled to where he has been cycled to, which is potentially second place. Or at least first car behind the leader if he's a lap down. I think Matt Kenseth in the 17 is closing it. Big block! Wallace almost got to the outside of Kyle Busch. Great crossover by the 22, but it was all for naught. Kenseth is on the lead lap. He is right behind the 22, and he's going to the outside in the middle of 3 and 4 as they come for 7 to go. And we've got more cars closing in, so the pack is starting to bunch back together. Mark Martin in the 9 car is also there. Busch leads with 7 to go at Talladega. He hasn't led many laps today. He's trying to lead the most important laps. To the top to block Kenseth. Kenny Wallace to the bottom, and he'll take the lead. He is on the lead lap. Martin to the inside as well. Wallace down to block the 9. Big undercut move there by Kyle Busch to get underneath Mark Martin as Kenny Wallace, who has not led all day today, is trying to lead his first lap as they come to 6 laps to go. Carl Edwards in the 60 or Clint Boyer in the 2 is also catching up. I can't tell which blue car exactly it is. Wallace may not lead to the start-finish line though, because Kyle Busch is coming back to the bottom again. Door to door for the lead. Kenny will lead his first lap at the line. And holds clear into turn 1. 6 to go. Race is on now. Kenny Wallace, Kyle Busch versus 3 Roush Fenway Fords. Will they all gang up and try to get around the 2 that lead? Busch has a pretty big run right now. Can he maintain the momentum off turn 4? As long as he stays in the gas, he should. Trying to pull to the bottom. Didn't really time it out too well, and Kenny still leads 5 to go. Busch going to have to try to time it out again. Kenny Wallace getting pretty far out ahead of Kyle Busch. He's going to give Busch a bigger run. Maybe even Mark Martin a bigger run because Martin's looking to the inside of the 5. And Busch does have older tires than everybody's racing around right now. That could be a big difference maker here. See, overall grip level. He's lifting a little bit in the middle of the corner. He does not want to wreck the 22. Or potentially wreck himself trying to bump draft in the middle of the corner. Right front starting to go away on the 5 just a little bit. Again, down to the bottom in the tri-oval. Just can't get underneath the 22 that time as Wallace blocks successfully. And we're down to 4 to go. Again, a caution could end the race. Probably will end the race. No cautions though in the final lap if we get the white flag. As Martin giving Kyle Busch enough of a shove off of turn 2. Here's the run again by Busch. Can Wallace block successfully this time? No, he will not. But can Busch clear this time into turn 3? Yes, he does. Moves up, clear. Busch refusing to lose at Talladega. Martin to the inside, almost got there. Slight contact. Everybody holds on as they come to 3 to go. Around the 2.66 mile beast of a super speedway. Another big block by Busch. Kenseth to the inside of the 9. Busch just mirror driving at this point. Kenseth all over the back of the 5 on the bottom of the racetrack. Looking to swing wide. 22 with a run from the 9 and the 60. Busch goes high to block Wallace. Back to the bottom in front of Matt Kenseth into turn 3. Kenny Wallace coming with another run. Busch trying to control the lanes in the middle of the corner. Here comes Clint Bowyer. It is not Edwards in 5th. It is Bowyer off of turn 4. A little bit of a push from the 17 to the 5. Busch, little contact there with Kenny Wallace. Wanted to side draft him, but he got a little too close to him. 2 to go at the line. Busch leads that lap by inches. You got the 9 pushing the 22, the 5 pushing the 17, and now the 2 just kind of an outlier in everything here. Busch slides up right in front of Mark Martin. Try to cut him off and hop back in line behind Kenny Wallace, who has the lead off turn 2. Matt Kenseth, though, in the 17 car is going to be all clear. He is up to 2nd, and he's got to run now on Kenny Wallace. Will they get to the white flag, and can they get to the checker without a major wreck here? And does Busch have enough to go from 3rd to 1st on the final lap? Bowyer's up to 4th. Martin back another spot. Busch with a run in the tri-oval. Down to the bottom of the racetrack. White flag in the air. 1 lap to go. Kenny Wallace leads at the line. And I think Busch might have barely had 2nd over Kenseth. He is clearing up to 2nd. And now he's in the driver's seat. He has been able to pass Wallace with a couple runs in this race. Can he get another big one, though, late? He's got a big run on the back straightaway. Looking to the bottom. I don't know if that was enough of a run to take the lead, though. Into turns 3 and 4. He's going to crowd the 22. He's clear in the middle of the corner. But here comes Kenseth down on the bottom. Kenseth is on the inside of the racetrack. Oh my gosh, he has done it. Busch almost wrecks off turn 4. And Matt Kenseth's going to win at Talladega. And Kyle Busch falls all the way back to 4th on the front stretch as he got really loose. Dang it, man. I couldn't block both lanes. I just couldn't do it. Matt Kenseth is going to win the race. Another new winner in the Busch Series. Man. That's a little bit of a heartbreaker. I mean, to lead that many laps late. I had the run. I couldn't wait till the front stretch because you don't know if you're going to get that run again. I had a big run. I had to take it. I cleared him. I just couldn't get to the bottom in time. I didn't have enough of a run to blow past him. I had enough of a run to get underneath him and barely clear him, so that's why I had to move up in front of him. Because otherwise I felt he was going to get a push from the 2 off of turn 4, which he did. Because they were both able to get by me on the outside. Once I got down to the bottom, it was too late. I couldn't draft up to 17. I didn't have enough momentum. And then I got loose. I stayed in the gas. I got loose, though, and ended up losing a couple more spots there on the front stretch. Elite bushwhacking again. Pretty much. Top 5 are all, top 6 are all Cup guys. Because even Kenny Wallace is in the 00. Michael Walter Bracing. So you got Kenseth, Wallace, Boyer. Well, Boyer's not. Never mind. Boyer's in the Busch full time. He's not in the Cup Series yet. Not till the following season. Okay, so 5 of the top 6. And 6 of the top 8 are all Cup guys. I mean, we're getting good finishes on the super speedways with Kyle Busch. We're just not winning. I cannot win a super speedway to save my life. We did lead 15 laps, and we did finish 4th. And we only had 1 caution in this entire race, and it was for debris. We didn't have a single wreck at Talladega, making our average race speed 176.7 miles an hour. That might be a Busch Series record. I have no clue. I'm about to look it up, actually. I'm going to look it up. Did we set a Busch Series regular for the fastest race? I think we did. The only race that had 1 caution was 1997. Mark Martin won that race. There were 7 caution laps. We only had 3 because there was a debris yellow. That, and I think every caution 3 laps. But the average race speed of that race was 168.937. So by my accounts, we just ran the fastest Xfinity Series race at Talladega of all time. Maybe the fastest Xfinity Series race ever. I might have to look at Daytona now just to clarify. But we may have just ran the fastest Xfinity race of all time tonight. We gotta look up Daytona too, just to make sure. What a race, though. Let's see. Yeah, no Xfinity race has gone caution-free at Daytona either. Least amount of cautions. They had 3 in 2014 night race. Average race speed of, where did I see that? Average race speed of 130, that's not right, 157. 155 in 2008, they only had 3 cautions. 156, 3 yellows in 07. So it looks like they've had at least 3 cautions in every single Xfinity Daytona. Yeah, I have not found it. I've not found one faster than tonight. I believe we have just ran the fastest NASCAR Xfinity race of all time. That's impressive. 1 caution for debris. Smoking the Pot, thanks for tuning in. I saw you there late. Every time a lane gets a huge boost, can't block 2, 30 wide. Yeah, I mean, we had side-by-side behind us. I couldn't block them both. I chose the outside, and then I got loose, which didn't help. I got loose because I tried to side draft the 17 quickly, and I jerked the car down to the bottom too quickly, and I got loose. Because I was on older tires, too. But I didn't have faith in my pit crew to have a fast 4-tire stop and actually cycle out with the leaders. And, I mean, honestly, if I didn't go fuel only, Kenny Wallace probably would have ran away with it late. But I was able to hop in front of him, and he ended up finishing second. But he might have been clearing away the favorite there to the finish. Just an hour and 45 minutes for this race today, too. Margin victory, 0.2 of a second. We still had, I mean, even with just the 1 caution, we had 24 lead changes and 117 laps. And that was with, like, 3 sets of green flag stops today. So not too bad. But yeah, fastest Xfinity race of all time. Top 10, Kenseth, 16 laps led, wins the race. 4 laps led. Kenny Wallace finishes second. Clint Boyer led the most laps with 49 laps led today. He finishes third. Kyle Busch will finish fourth with 15 laps led. Mark Martin led 2 laps. He finishes in fifth. Carl Edwards led 6 laps, finishes sixth. Smith led 4 laps, finishes seventh. I think he was in the 138 car. Bobby Labonte, no laps led, finishes eighth. So he was the highest running driver with no laps led. Eric Crocker was up there at times, battling for the lead, but couldn't get to the lead. Finished ninth. And then Clark ends up rounding out the top 10. Don't even know what number that is, but one of the fantasy drivers. Our teammate, Brian Vickers, qualified pole, led the first 21 laps, didn't lead after that. Finished 19th, 1 lap down. We only had 16 cars finish on the lead lap. The only caution that did happen, again, was in the middle of green flag stops. That's why that many drivers finished a lap down today in the race. But again, it was for debris. We didn't have a single crash at Talladega. I don't think we'll ever have that happen again on the channel. I don't care if it's a Busch or a Cup race. Obviously, if it was a Cup race, we still would have had another, like, almost 200 miles left. So there could have easily have been, you know, another accident or two. But yeah, not tonight for this Busch race. The next set of Busch Series races, and I'll have to check just to make sure. But yes, so the next 4 Busch races will all be 50% races. But I believe tomorrow we'll be running a Cup Series doubleheader. And let me double check on that just to make sure. But we'll have 2 50% races for the Cup Series tomorrow. And they will be taking place at the California Speedway and Atlanta. And our coverage begins at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow night. So 6 p.m. tomorrow night, we'll have races number 25 and 26 of the Cup schedule. So that means we'll have just 10 races to go after tomorrow night on the Cup side. And we'll be racing at California and Atlanta, 2 50% races back-to-back in the same stream tomorrow. So be sure to tune in for that one. Just had a missed phone call there for a second. I thought I saw something flashing on my phone. Nah, I don't know. Don't know, don't care. Hopefully it wasn't important. I don't know the number, so I'm going to assume it wasn't. All right. Point standings. Kyle Busch, 187. Ahead of Boyer. Boyer now up to second, with Vickers having another off day. It's back-to-back races for Brian Vickers. He's finished outside the top 15. It's a pretty big points lead. I mean, our average finish was at a 4.2 coming into the day. We finished 4th, so it'll stay right around there. I mean, we have 10 top 10s in the first 11 races, and we have not finished worse than 14th this season. We have some 50% races coming up. That may shake up the running order a bit, especially when you consider the fact that Chicagoland and Vegas will each only be 100 laps, so track position is going to be big there. We got to qualify well, assuming we qualify. Well, I'm probably not going to be able to qualify for the second race. We'll just have to start at the back. No practice of qualifying for the second one. Richmond I'm pretty good at in this game. I don't really think I'm going to worry about that one, but no clue how Nazareth's going to go. That'll be interesting. And then we go back to Daytona after those 4 50% races, so we have our second Daytona race of the season. The night race. I mean, we've been good on the super speedways. Maybe I can finally win one. Thanks, everybody, for watching. That's going to end tonight's stream. Hit that like button if you haven't done so already. Subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. Great finish to another Talladega race and another one on the channel today. Be sure, again, to tune in tomorrow night. Won't want to miss it. Cup Series doubleheader. See you guys. Have a good rest of your Tuesday evening.